on. Let's give Gilbert a hand. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you. All right, I'd like to start this morning's service with a greeting and salutation of, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Can we say that together? Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Yes, yes, yes. For this is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad. Amen? Amen. Okay. I greet you in peace, love, and joy. My name is Fran Daniels, religious science practitioner here at Miracle Center for Spiritual Living, 2653 South Taylor Road in the beautiful Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Our affirmation for this week, today, and through the week, I mindfully fill my cup up with the love of who I am. Wow. Let's repeat that together. I mindfully fill my cup up with the love of who I am. Wow. Do you know who you are? Yes. And now we will have a musical selection, Pour Yourself in Me. Yes. Our monthly theme, to live your life to the fullest, self-care must be embraced in daily practice to help you remember who you are. Now that's important. Let me repeat that. To live your life to the fullest, self-care must be embraced in daily practice to help you remember who you are. To know who you are, you must be aware of the unlimited possibilities that can be unlocked when you harness the potential of your real beingness. Through self-awareness of the mind, body, and spirit, you realize that you are a perfect entity and that you have all that you need for unlimited success and unconditional love. Wow. The summary of today's topic: the evolution of self-care has taken several turns since its discovery. Self-care started in the medical field with a similar meaning as today. It included activities patients in the 1950s were advised to see their worth. The encouragement to see their worth would, in turn, help the patient cultivate healthier habits like eating right and exercising. In general, cutting off the unsupportive habits that are contrary to the rules of self-preservation. As time went on, the term was used in other fields like the civil rights movement, which encouraged the practice of self-care in order to continue the pursuit of equality. Good words, powerful words that we must practice. And now, to give us a deeper understanding of self-care and what it means, with the topic, I love myself the way I am. Do you? Reverend June Clark will explain it to you. Let's welcome Reverend June.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Isn't it a blessed and wonderful, wonderful and beautiful time to be alive? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
There are a couple affirmative statements here at the top of our bulletin. Self-care is not self-indulgence. Self-care is not self-indulgence. I totally agree with that. It is self-preservation. Preservation, not a stuffed bird or a species that has been saved. it is alive and well, and making sure that one is alive and well and will never be a stuffed bird. So this month is going to be a reminder here in the middle of the year that we just got to take good care of ourselves. And so I'll keep reading along here. Audre Lorde, A Burst of Light and Other Essays, was the quote from that I just read. To be yourself in a world constantly trying to make you something else is a great accomplishment. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. And that is true. To be yourself in a world constantly trying to make you something else is a great accomplishment. And I'm not sure if I agree with Mr. Emerson in the first part here, in a world constantly trying to make you something else. I think that is a in-house decision. I don't think it's the world that's trying to make one something else. I think it's totally a choice of observing the world and not observing yourself in a positive light when you are who you are, why you are, how you are, et cetera, et cetera. So let's move on. We're going to start with your mind is powerful. And do we stop and think about that? Do you? Do I? I don't sometimes, because I clunk myself upside the head every once in a while and say, what in the world were you thinking about? And it's usually over some small, insignificant item, thing, awareness, whatever's going on. And that, too, is about self-care. How do we think? How do we perceive who we are? What do we do with who we are that keeps us healthy in mind, spirit, and body? And that's just the first couple words here. So I'm going to move on. There is no self-care without the mind. The way you perceive yourself and behave stems from the mind. You can get therapy sessions from the greatest mind gurus, like a practitioner, like your friends that are honest with you, or someone that you pay for even. But if you don't treat your mind, then there is no way you would care for and love yourself. Love yourself. And the title, I Love Myself the Way I Am. And if you have been in a religious science church over the years, at least once probably you have heard this song, I love myself the way I am. And we'll probably hear it one of these Sundays this month. It is from the mind that self-deprecating and demeaning thoughts like. Let me read that again. It is from the mind that self-deprecating and demeaning thoughts like, oh, I am not good enough. Oh, so-and-so really does that really well. I'm not good enough to do that. Yeah, so-and-so can go to that event, but I don't feel very comfortable around those people, and you know how that is, so I'm just not going to go. No. Take yourself in there, be yourself, and claim who you are. And nowadays, I say nowadays because it has not always been accurate or the truth, nowadays, the image of a person's girth, height, color, all those things combined is not seen the way it was when I was younger. I have to say that. And not to knock anybody's profession or anybody's size, to be a model on the walkway, or what they call it, the runway of a fashion show, you had to be a size 2 or under, probably a 0. Now, okay, when I was maybe 10 years old, I don't know if I was ever a 2. Certainly never a 0. So we climb up to the numbers that have 2 digits in them, maybe 3 digits. That's the range that I'll accept. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I will never I will never succeed. Demeaning. Susie typed this for me in larger type, and it's such a blessing, but my eyes are jumping, so you have to bear with me here. Next week I'll be much better at this because she's going to do it for me every week. I will never succeed. Demeaning. I just can't get this right here. Oh, I will never succeed at what I am doing. See, if I had given up, if I had said, that's right, I can't do this, I never would have done it. So we always push forward. There's a lesson in everything, so we accept the good. Or even, I should just give up. These thoughts come from a mind that has not been tamed and has not, and I think that should be, it's my error or Holmes' error, whoever wrote it, a mind that has not been tamed and has not been trained to let supportive thought just flow past without entertaining them. I like the word tamed. I do like that word because to me it indicates that there is training being done, that there is something that is amiss that needs to be massaged and loved and shifted a little bit. So if your thoughts are not tamed or not examined or not considered important, which they are very, very important because that's what comes out of the mouth is what we're thinking about. So consider it, the word tamed, as being aware of what you're thinking and then what you're saying. Once you can control your thoughts, you are in for mind-boggling freedom. We are. We truly are. There used to be maybe there still is an expression, he curses like a sailor. I don't know any sailors, to tell you the truth. I do know some folks that curse, and I will not exclude myself. There are times, and I'm serious. The mind-boggling freedom comes when you know that when you speak, it's your truth. Now, if you are a person that curses all the time, obviously that is very comfortable for that individual. Do they know what they're saying? Yes, of course they do. Do they accept that as their truth? Yes. Do you have to accept that as your truth? No. If that's not something that you want to be around to hear, then you don't put yourself in that position. Or when you hear it, you transpose whatever you hear, if you can understand what they're saying, and make it your own, and just do with it whatever you choose. Maybe that sounds a little strange, but let's stay out of judgment, because if you're going to judge the cursing, then you're going to move on toward judging the weight, you're going to move on towards judging the color, you're going to judge where people come from, what they do, how they do, why they do. So it's just a thought to bear in mind. When something is a little different than you are, make it big, make it small, make it nothing. This frees you to live the best life you've ever imagined. Once you can control your thoughts, you are in for mind-boggling freedom. This frees you to live the best life you've imagined. And from the Science of Mind textbook on page 99, got to go all the way down with the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the third paragraph, and about 5 lines down, you'll find the sentence that starts with the simplest. So we're going to go all the way, well, we'll move up one. We'll start with while, right in the middle of the 4th paragraph. While we may affirm the body is not a thing of itself, we cannot say there is no body. So think about it. We can't say there is no body. The simplest way to think of body is to realize that it is the objective manifestation of a subjective mind and consciousness. And if we were to will to be well and happy, not only the body, but the mind also must be peaceful and harmonious. Whole lot of words. Simply, the way we think of body, not necessarily the physical body, but what we produce from our mind goes into the subjective thought, and then it comes out as body. Whatever we see as body, like this podium, like these chairs, like people, like animals, anything that is body, the simplest way to think of it, I'll say, not capital I, but think of things, is to realize that it is the objective manifestation, it's the way it shows up, of a subjective mind, which is the mind of God, and what we put into it, and it gets washed around in that washing machine called consciousness. Subjective mind and consciousness. And if we are to be well, to be healthy, to be happy, to be an individual who can stand in their own power and accept what is correct for them, not only the body, but the mind also must be peaceful and harmonious. So again, looking differently at the sentence, not only the body, not only what you're looking at, not only what you're accepting, not only what your consciousness interprets anything to be. I used cursing because that's easy to wrap your mind around, because I know we have all heard it. Maybe done it, I don't know. That's not the important thing. But what you observe, it must be peaceful and harmonious. To who? To who does it matter? It matters to you. It matters to your self-worth. It matters to your consciousness. And if your state of consciousness is the truth and the harmonious blessings of God, You're not even going to have to think about it. You're not even going to have to consider, am I being fair? Am I laughing at something that shouldn't be laughed at? Am I hearing something that shouldn't be heard? Am I? You don't even have to even blink an eye. You consider to exist in your beingness as a perfect person who is taking care of their self-worth, their self-being, their complete and whole self. I know all of these words in this chapter 5 of Body. They say that. So if you want to read all of this, just contemplate it from a different perspective. Holmes wrote these beautiful words back in 1927, and an awful lot of them are passé, so to speak. They don't mean what they used to mean. And in today's world, just this morning as I was getting ready to go to church, I always turn on one of the newscasts to make sure that the world is still okay beyond Cleveland. And one of the guests on one of the shows was a black female, and she was explaining, I can't tell you the new book, the new dictionary, because I didn't catch it, but there is a new dictionary of, we'll say, slang expressions that have been used within quite a long time in the English language. And what the meaning is of those words. And some of them we commonly know that are derogatory. There's a lot of words that are derogatory about a lot of different races, different people. And one of the ones that the commentator picked out, when I say there's a lot of words in this book that mean a lot of different things, the one he picked out was chitterlings. And he questioned the lady about the word chitterlings. And it's spelled, I guess, Lering on the end. And he said, now you know that is not the correct word, that the word is chitlins. And, you know, Fran just laughed a little bit, and I did too. And it wasn't whether the word is derogatory or not, because it's not. It's a part of an animal. It's part of a pig, and it's eaten just like pork chops is, just like a beef steak is, but it's pronounced incorrectly. So he was trying to get her to say that this dictionary ought to spell it in a certain way, because that's the vernacular that it is said in. I mean, it's kind of a silly analogy or something silly to think about, but that's the way I want you to read this book. That's the way I want you to read the Bible. Sure, it says changeless being here. It says universe. It says thinker. What can you do with those words? Do you just take them off the page and just say, yeah, I guess that's what that means? No. Just like this self-care. What does that mean to you? What does self-care mean to you? It means something entirely different to me because of health conditions that I have, which I quite often ignore, which people that are around me or who check on me, they say, did you eat, Reverend June? Did you eat breakfast this morning, Reverend June? Did you rest? You know, self-care. Now, if I don't stop and think, did you eat this morning, June? Are you doing self-care? Whether they think about it or not, does it affect my body? It does. when it slaps me upside the head and I say no, and then I feel like I'm dizzy or whatever. Self-care, I interpret these 2 words for this month to really, really look at. What does it mean to you? How do you pronounce it? How do you use it? What do you do with it? Do you stay up too late? And then you know you have an appointment at 7 in the morning. Do you stay up doing whatever? And then you wake up and you're out of sorts and you're groggy and you're not sure if you're going to be on time, so you rush and then you don't eat and then and you drive too fast and then. Think about the 2 words that we're focusing on this month, self-care. Because the person driving on the left or the right of you, which I have discovered with my car 2 times. Once is my fault. Once somebody else did something on the other side of the rear end of my car. Now, my self-care yesterday was very out of whack because I was, words that I don't say, off, you know. But what did I have to do? I had to relax. I have to look at it and say, okay, call and see how much the deductible is, and move on. And be kind to myself. Not to sit, not to stew, not to call names of people that I don't know, et cetera, et cetera. That's primarily what we can accomplish this month through Science of Mind. Not going to a doctor because we think we're sick. Before we get sick, we use our consciousness that we have, and we use that self-care awareness, and we bless ourselves, and we know that whatever comes through us is the divine speaking to us as us, and our divine intelligence awakens, and we do what is the highest and best for us. So that's just off of that one little section there. So next we move on to perfection in the individual. When you become aware of your spiritual perfection and tap into the mind's abilities to create the ideal life for you, then all of a sudden you realize, there is no specific image to look up to for perfection but you. No one else to look up to. And that's not an absolute. To me, it's an awareness. And it's not false unless you use it in such a way as that person, they've made it, they look like this, they speak this way, so I'm going to speak this way. I'm going to wear my hair thus and so because they're so successful that they made it with that hairstyle, so that's what I'm going to change to. Somebody else's image of what maybe your image ought to be. That's not self-care. That is copycat or dirty ratter. You ever say that? I know I'm aging myself. I know. But it is. It's being who you think is better than you are, is more special than you are. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Do not do that, self. You understand and come to know. I'm going to read this all together. When you become aware of your spiritual perfection and tap into the mind's abilities to create the ideal life for you, then all of a sudden you realize There is no specific image to look up to for perfection but you. You understand and come to know that you are part of the macrocosmos, meaning God, an individualization of the one. If we are all each made in the image and likeness of God, we're all just God expressing these God expressions all over the place. There are no two that are the same, even identical twins, divided one cell, one united cell with sperm and egg, one divided right down the middle. Not fraternal twins, which is two eggs and two sperms that get fertilized, but identical twins, they're not just exactly the same. They are within scientific statement or identification. They don't even have the same fingerprints. Their eyes are different. Something is different, so there's a uniqueness in each of us that is so special and cannot be duplicated. You do not need to model after anyone or anything you feel and accept your perfection. You only need to look within to come into contact with who you really are. Harness your potential and eventually become the best you can be. And it's wonderful. It is so wonderful to achieve it, for myself, just so wonderful to have achieved with this breath and every breath that I take from this moment on, that I have achieved certain skills, that I have achieved certain ways that I appreciate about myself, that I have managed to achieve through the relationships that I have had since I was slapped on the bottom and cried. It's wonderful. I feel wonderful. I think I'm wonderful. But doggone it, I want to be better with every breath I take. And I want to see what it's like to be 135 years old. Who knows? I don't know. It could be achievable. Maybe this room would have expanded a bit, and we'd have more chairs, and we'd have more people, and we'd be dressing differently, maybe in spacesuits. Heck, I don't know. But whatever it is, whatever you are now is so wonderful. Can we not expand this wonderment and be more and more and more with every breath we take? That's what it's destined to be. That's what Jesus lived 33 years. And in his wonderful 33 years, he gave it up to the Father, knowing he had done his highest and best, and he became more and more and more. As this modern age still, it's so many faiths, so many religions in that book, the Bible, which is proclaimed the old and the new in his written word, his spoken words in red, continuously striving to be more. We don't have to die to be more. We are more with every positive thought that we take, every positive action that we make. We just grow and grow. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself in me, Lord. Oh, that's the simplicity of that is just awesome. On page 89 in the textbook, Ernest Holmes puts this, like I say, you got to check out these words and do them a little differently. And in the very first paragraph, it says, "Let us not forget that there is inherent necessity for warmth and color. The universe is more than an inexorable law of cause and effect. Personality cannot emerge from a principle which does not contain the inherent possibility of personality." Personality to personality is in capital letters. In each one of us, to each one of us, though each one of us something is personalized, and this is in italics, and that which is personalized is personal to its own personification. Personification. What do you make of yourself? What does everybody else make of you? It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what they think. Was that book? Arnie is always quoting his first book that he read about from, I forget her name, Reverend, "What you think of me is none of my business." And I'm not coming up with her name. But that book, in the era of the 60s, I would say, or into the 70s, was so popular, along with the hippie culture, of pushing people's minds into the thinking process of what you think of me is none of my business. And in Southern California especially, she was living in Southern California when she wrote the book. And it just began a trend of people like the hippies. I don't say it negatively, but there was an era of young people who just began to be themselves, to be a group which they thought that they were the only original ones that were like doing this hippie type stuff. But when I was growing up and wearing hoop skirts and saddle shoes and white socks, and young men were wearing buck white shoes and saddle shoes, we were thought we were the rage. And the parents didn't like what I was wearing. And then the hot pants came out. That group thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. Those of us who were a little bit older than what we felt we would wear, hot pants, we thought that that was just terrible. So what is it about personalization, personality? Be who you are. Love it, love it, love it, live it, especially live it with peace, with grace, with ease, with kindness toward somebody else that maybe doesn't look exactly like you do. Again, read the book, take the words, and interpret them into what it is that you want to say to the world, who you want to present, who you want to be. You cannot be another. You cannot be someone else. And I'm preaching to the choir here, because no one that I can think of that I know that is involved in this church in any way is projecting as if they want to be someone else. Now, when we go to the political realm, I won't say names, but it seems like we have a gray-haired person and a dark-haired person that both are from Florida, or both are living in Florida currently, that seem to want to play, off of this "I want to be like you" kind of thing. Is it going to work? I don't know. But don't try and be like someone else. Be who you are, the genuineness, the lovingness, the peacefulness, the self-care person who puts, for us ladies, maybe the men too, put the nice cream on our faces because we just think that we're just going to look more glowing, and we do. For the gentleman that shaves and shapes that mustache, or that whatever they call this down here that they do, and they shave and they get their hair cut. They do that for their own selfhood. It sounds like little simple stuff, but whatever you do for yourself, not just physically, but the way you think, the way you eat, the way you sleep, what you drink, what you say, how you drive, how you time your time so that you're not forever in a rush. That's self-care. And that's what's going to get you to the 135-year-old friend of mine. We're going to be hanging out. We're not going to be sitting. We're going to be doing our thing. We're going to be walking and talking and maybe dancing, whatever it is that 135-year-old people do well. So moving down, as you unlock the mind's abilities to create your ideal life experience, you must also know that action must be taken in order to experience a joyful, peaceful, and thriving life. Action must be taken. Action must be taken. Couple sentences over here. You cannot think about going to work in the morning and expect your thoughts to take you there. Get up and move. Do something. Not reach over to the phone and say, I'm calling in today. That's too late, for one thing. That you can't do that too many times. And if you do something like that too many times, then it becomes your pattern and your norm. And the norms we want to set up are all those things I've already talked about. Be on your game. Eat your breakfast early. Get dressed early. Well, beforehand, shower earlier, wash earlier, whatever you do in the morning. Do it within a timely manner so that when you step out and get in your car, if you're driving somewhere, if you're walking somewhere, whatever, you're prepared. You're already harmonious. You know you've done your taking care of self already, and you step out and you're ready to go and get some more good. Self-care. There's a sentence in here that I want to look at. It does not work that way. I read that. As much as thoughts are important to experience an ideal life, action is also an important player in the game. Very important player. It is contractive. I ran into that word. It is contractive if you think about self-care without taking conscious steps towards upholding it. I said contractive. What is that? What is that? What is Holmes trying to say? Found it in the concordance. So on page 287, in the very first paragraph and the second paragraph, this is what Holmes means by contractive. Okay, it starts over on the 286, the last line. The practitioner's word was used for each in like manner, but each could receive only his fill. And prior to that line, it gives examples of a practitioner giving practitioner awareness to 3 different clients. And how it works is this sentence: the practitioner's word was used for each in like manner, but each could receive only his fill, only his mental capacity to comprehend. Is it saying that one person is more intelligent than another? No. Is it saying that one person has a certain consciousness level and they get whatever it is that was said to them as a pattern of possible change? Yes. Yes. Then we go back to the contractive. We can have more, but is he to get it? You can tell somebody something. You can tell yourself something. Do you get it? Do you really get it? Will a pint dipper ever hold more than a pint? It's one of those tricky questions. One might, this is what I thought was interesting here. One might build up the edge and rim of the dipper somewhat and make it hold more and more, so one can continuously increase his consciousness. It is just the old law that we can expand the finite, but we cannot contract the infinite. I don't agree. A pint is a pint. You put sides on the pint. You might do something on top of the edge of that pint and seal it around. Put more liquid in it. To me, that's not a pint. A pint is at the line where it says pint. Now, you may add to it. If you take the pint that you have decided is your total pint line, and you pour some out, it's no longer a pint of whatever you had. Get it? I'm getting it. I'm getting it my way. So it says here, it is just the old law that we can expand the finite. It's not in a capital letter, but we cannot contract the infinite, which is in capital I, and it's also in italics. We cannot contract the infinite. We can't make God smaller than it is, because it is what it is, and it always will be what it is. Now, what you put in your mind, your consciousness, can be expanded and expanded and expanded. And in doing so, if you want to use the common words to make your subconsciousness, your consciousness better, then just go ahead and expand your infinite consciousness. If you want your life to be better, then continue to live according to the infinite consciousness that you have. Don't allow for the fact that you can always do more and always be better. That's up to you. I'm not going to say that it's right or wrong, but if things are not going too well, like getting bumped twice on your car, I will never get a navy blue car again. That's in my consciousness, and it's foolish. But something's trying to tell me something. I'm not paying attention, maybe not to the car, but something in my life that I need to do self-care about, so that I know I'm on even keel and I continue to know I'm blessed, instead of looking at the downside of what I don't know. I just have to be the positive. So I'm going to have Jerry play this song, and whatever else is on this bulletin. You might want to look at page 187.1, at page 405, third paragraph, and page 465, the fifth paragraph. So use these notes and consider them. So I'm going to have Jerry play this song, and this is a fun way to live. That you can take the simple words of this song and you can love yourself so much that you love someone else, that someone else is loving themselves so much that they can start loving you. So it's this continuous, beautiful circle. So if the practitioners would come up and keep in mind as we go into treatment, keep in mind. When I woke up this morning and I can see through the blinds, the sun was not out fully, but it was clouded just a little bit. But it was a clear and bright sunny day. And as the day has progressed and this week has progressed, it's been beautiful, sunny, awesome. And it's so easy to feel good and special. But in my mind's eye and in the back of my mind, I know it's raining somewhere. The moon is out somewhere, so it's dark somewhere. But right here, right now, this moment, the sun is here. And it's shining on me. And love yourself with that sun, because that is the presence and allness of God. And we are one with that God. We are one with that brightness. We are one as the brightness. As the holy light within comes through us, through our eyes, through our ears, through our mouth, through the presentation of how we dress, how we approach one another, how we feel. We self-care because we are taking care of the God essence within us, as us. And we give it away and we give it away. It's an inexhaustible supply of allness, of goodness. So special. And just knowing this, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Free to do and be self-care for myself in every way possible. Oh, these glorious days of just being alive. We come into the prayer of thanksgiving. Don't just say it at a meal. Don't just say it when something that occurs that appears not to be positive and it works out. Just don't wait. Be in the thanks as self-care. Thank you, Spirit. No separation. The Spirit in me is the Spirit of the Almighty. Give thanks. Allow the world to be bright. Self-care, and more self-care. For yourself, for everyone around you, and we especially bless all of those around the world. And I have been told, Jackie shared with me this morning, that our couple that would come, Rob and Lydia, thank you, who have been coming for quite some time, had relatives. She has relatives in the war in Ukraine, and one of her nieces passed away. So we hold the family in prayer. It was not through any bombing or anything, but that person had passed away. So we hold all of those, our loved ones, deep within our hearts. Deep, deep within our hearts. Do the self-care. Do the awareness of the truth of who you are. And bless it and know that it is God and it is good. And knowing this and giving thanks for it, together we say, because we do allow it to be, together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. So Fran, you can stay and bless us. Yes. Oh, let me give one announcement for next week. Next week, I have invited a choir that Arnie goes to their church on Sundays and sings.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Father's Day,
Mm-hmm.
which is next week.
No, the 17th.
We got this on
19th. It's,
Third Sunday.
Third Sunday.
That's when they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
Third Sunday. They're coming next week.
That's not next week.
Okay.
Next week is the second Sunday.
The third Sunday.
Today's the first Sunday in May.
Uh-huh.
Buy me books, send me to school. That's Mama speaking.
Yeah.
Thank you all for assisting. It is the third Sunday, but we will have a guest choir. And it's a choir that Arnie goes and sings at after he is here, and then he comes back to our church. And it is, give me the name correct, Arnie.
United Temple Church, the Tabernacle.
United Temple Church, the Tabernacle. If you are staying at home today, circle that date, because I want some people here more than the choir. So please come and welcome them. So that's my announcement.
Okay.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Reverend June, and thank you for the message. Let's give her a hand. Self-care is important, and until I got into science of mind, I guess I really didn't know what it was. So you got to be here. So join with me as we benedict and just give thanks for the divine movement, the divine ray of love that has been so beautifully shown during this morning service. Through every word, through every thought, through every feeling, through every idea, especially about self-care. So as we go forth this week, we go forth knowing that we're divinely guarded, guided, connected, and protected. For right where we are, God is. And so it is. Amen and amen. God bless.